Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Cryptid Cocktail Party, a show where we have a few drinks, share a few laughs, take a dive into the unknown. I'm your host, Dave, joined as always by my wonderful co-host, Sarge. How's it going, Sarge?
Whoa, what's up? I went to church this morning.
Oh, God damn it. We'll get to that in a second. Today we are also joined by a very special guest. We have the representative for Latinos Against Spooky Shit and co-host of the Spooky Boys podcast, Jonathan Perez. What's going on, man?
Hola, buenas tardes. Just vibing on this wonderful Sunday post Thanksgiving and election bullshit. Just surviving, thriving, trying to keep my head above water.
Yeah. So you're not only just the Latinos Against Spooky Shit guy, but you did just start a new podcast. How's the reception of that been going?
It's been fantastic.
Yeah?
I'm super excited about it. Yeah, we just hit our first 1,000 downloads, which we just launched like 3 weeks ago. So we're super hyped on it.
Yeah.
And merch coming, Patreon stuff, behind the scenes stuff. In the future, we're going to be doing recordings on site of like haunted locations and all that kind of stuff to see if we pick up anything. So a lot of fun stuff on the way.
If you guys ever come in to do like a recording on site at a haunted site in New England, I am there.
Let's run it, dude. I'm down. We want to travel all over the place.
We could go. I know based on your video on Instagram that you're not a big fan of camping.
No, and that's for a couple different reasons. It's not just because of the spooky shit, but it's like, oh, you want me to sleep on the floor like a poor? No, thank you.
I believe it's called the ground when you're outside.
See, I don't even know these things. That's how unused to that I am. It's like, ew. No.
I mean, here's the deal, man. I'm 43 years old. I am not sleeping on the ground.
You don't look
I am
day over
long
60,
past over the ground. I have a cot that I sleep on, but the only reason I mention it is we have a spot up here called the Hoosick Tunnel that is supposed to be extremely haunted.
Hoosick, interesting.
Yeah. It's a no longer used railroad tunnel, and it's apparently a hotbed of paranormal activity. I've always wanted to check it out.
Well, you do that. You don't know what that's like.
All right, fine. I'll catch you guys when you crash out at Bridgewater State Mental Hospital instead. Is that about it?
You know what? No.
I mean, you're going to hang out at a haunted spot. You're going to sleep there.
I'm never going to be happy with any choice that we make regarding haunted spots. And just to clear the air, when I say Latinos Against Spooky Shit, a lot of people are like, oh, you think spooky things shouldn't exist? No. Latinos Against Spooky Shit is less that they shouldn't be around and more that we shouldn't fuck with them. It's the principle of like, these people go out there and they're like, stupid spirit, like, hello, you dumb bitch. I'm like, first of all, hold up. Like that, you don't just come into my house and you start talking like that, I'm punching you in the throat. Like,
right? I've seen like so many of these like the shows where they go to like a haunted place and they start demanding shit of the ghosts.
Yeah.
And I'm like, bro, you don't know what they've got hidden around this house. This could be like,
right?
Yeah, it could be like a paranormal version of Home Alone. Everywhere we go, there could be like a rake that's going to smash us in the fucking face.
Come on, man. Zach Baggins is hands down the peak of paranormal investigation.
Zach Baggins is the peak of paranormal investigations, the same way that Donald Trump is the peak of humanity.
I know.
Thing I've ever seen.
It's so good. He's such a fucking douchebag with his tap out. The tiny shirts and the big pants.
Yep.
Really bummed me out. But
Zach Baggins is alternate Chris Angel if Chris Angel didn't actually do magic.
Yeah. He should be called Douche Baggins.
Hey, Zach Baggins, if you listen to this, let me on your show. Love you, bud. Hey, let's not burn that bridge before we get across it.
Well, he went to this town in South America that was destroyed by this like horrible landslide that killed like 22,000 people. Fucking insane amount of people killed in this horrible tragedy. And this piece of shit is walking around trying to find ghosts while walking on where people are still definitely buried under the landslide. And I'm like, bro, what? Like, have just the tiniest amount of respect.
Oh, so this dude went and spawn camped? Jesus.
Yeah, dude, he's the fucking worst.
He's a real piece of shit.
He is the worst.
I love him.
He's the worst. Anyways,
I hate watch him.
That's really all it is. It really is a hate watch. But for the most part, Zach Baggins, if you are listening, I do want to tour your museum at one time. I want to hold that bell one time, please.
Zach Baggins, I will give you $10 if you let me kick you directly in the penis.
Dude's a billionaire. I don't think he needs your money.
Yeah, listen.
He probably.
Have you seen his show? That man will do anything for money.
That's fair. All right. Are you guys ready to fucking get this going?
All right, let's go.
So I think I got a fun one for you guys. Sarge kind of knows. Sarge kind of knows what's going on just because I had him research just a tiny part of it. But we're going to be headed to the just okay state of Arizona to cover what I can only describe as absolutely fucking bonkers. But first, I have to set the scene for you guys. So, you ready?
Take me there, baby.
We're ready.
The Arizona desert is a land of extremes. Endless arid stretches of sand and scrub, jagged mountains that scrape the sky, and a silence so profound it can make you question your sanity. But in the 1880s, that silence was shattered by something terrifying. It began quietly at first, hoofbeats echoing through the stillness of the night, growing louder and closer until a monstrous figure emerged from the shadows. The settlers who
It is about Carrie Lake. I knew it.
You shut the fuck up for 5 minutes. God damn it. Let me get through this. I worked hard on this.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, ChatGPT worked really fucking hard on this intro.
I worked really hard on this.
It sounds really good. It sounds like a D&D campaign.
It began quietly at first, hoofbeats echoing through the stillness of the night, growing louder and closer until a monstrous figure emerged from the shadows. The settlers who encountered it could hardly believe their eyes. This wasn't a horse. It wasn't a mule or any other beast of burden you'd expect to see in the Old West. It was a camel, a massive ghostly camel with reddish fur that glowed faintly in the moonlight. And then there was its rider. Perched atop the beast was a figure so grotesque it seemed as though it was ripped straight from a nightmare. It wasn't alive nor dead. Its body was decayed, skeletal, strapped to the creature's back by strips of rotting leather. A phantom of the desert that trampled the unwary, left behind enormous hoofprints, and terrified anyone who crossed its path. But what is it? A demon conjured by the barren wasteland itself? The restless spirit of a vengeful rider? Or something stranger? A ghostly remnant of the most bizarre military experiment in American history. Today, gentlemen, we are covering a story that blends history, folklore, and the uncanny. This week's topic is the Red Ghost. Now, are either of you familiar with the Red Ghost?
No.
I have heard of it, but I have no idea what it is.
Jonathan, anything?
I've never heard of this. I'm 90% sure you're making it up.
This was a nickname we had for a redheaded girl in my high school. That was it. She was very pale.
Okay.
Sorry. I'm
Shut
sorry,
up,
Jonathan.
Stephanie.
I cut you off.
No, you're fine. I've never heard of this, and I'm pretty sure he's making it up.
I wish I was making it up. So before we dive into the story of the Red Ghost, we should probably talk about how a camel could even be in the Arizona desert. Well, it all started in the 1850s when the U.S. government decided to experiment with an unusual idea. And for this segment, I'm going to throw it over to Sarge to explain just what that experiment was.
Yes. Resident military historian and current ghost of Carrie Lake. Here we go. In 1836, Lieutenant George Crossman of the U.S. Army and a veteran of many, it said wars, but I don't think it's really a war when the Native Americans were just like hanging out and then the cavalry showed up to kill them. I'm going to say fights against Native American people. And he thought, hey, you know what would make this war better? Lumpy horses. So Crossman told the War Department about his idea, and they were basically like, maybe you should like stay out of the sun for a while, George. And they buried it. However, in 1847, Crossman, now a major, met with a fellow major who is also a quartermaster. For those of you who are unfamiliar with the term, quartermaster is like the modern version of the supply guys in the military. They just give you the shit you need. They keep
Is that
track
their
of the
official
inventory.
title? The supply guy?
Supply guy.
That's what we called them in the Army. Literally, they were the supply sergeant or supply guy.
He was just a cashier, just a glorified cashier.
Yeah. Interestingly enough, most supply sergeants have more gear than they will ever need, and they never leave the wire. Anyway,
don't know.
So they never go out into actual combat. They have all the equipment. So Crossman met Major Henry Wayne, and with their powers combined, they conducted a study that would convince one very special piece of shit that camels had a future in the U.S. Army. Who is a piece of shit, you might be asking yourselves? None other than statesman, future Secretary of the War Department, and even more future traitor, Jefferson Davis. You might know him as the leader of the second dumbest insurrection in American history.
Westboro Baptist?
When Davis was a senator of Mississippi, he caught wind of Henry and Crossman's study and was all about it. So when President Franklin Pierce appointed Davis as the Secretary of War, Davis eagerly brought the first camel toes to American soil.
I'm sorry. Nope, we're not going to glance by that. Absolutely not.
I needed to say it. I had to say it.
You can't just sneak that in there like that, Sarge.
I had to say it.
God, that's good.
God bless America.
God, good thing you didn't think of moose.
Camel toes, arguably better than moose knuckles, just to be clear.
Facts.
In his 1854 annual report to Congress, Davis wrote, I again invite attention to the advantages to be anticipated from the use of camels and dromedaries for military and other purposes. And for reasons set forth in my last annual report, recommend that appropriation be made to introduce a small number of several varieties of this animal to test their adaptation to our country.
Now, and you might be touching on this later, but what advantages?
Oh, I'm going to get to it, man. You're going to love this. It's so cool.
Oh, boy, I'm fucking ready for it.
So, after a lot of false starts and consultation with British officers who are familiar with camel-based warfare from their conflicts in the Middle East in Crimea, America purchased 33 of these animals. It took a pretty long time. So from 1854 to 1856.
They didn't have Amazon Prime on those bitches?
No, not at all.
No,
and they had to go.
Yeah, dude, the fuck? Some assembly required? Excuse me?
Yeah. There was a lot of education required too, because camels, they're obviously a very different animal that we don't have here in the United States. So they had to learn very quickly. So I need to make a quick distinction here. There are two kinds of camel.
Oh, you really went into this, huh? Goddamn.
Yeah.
You're first,
well, there's a reason.
Already blowing my mind. I thought there was just a camel singular. There's variants. Is this a shiny?
Is it a shiny? Is it a
so there's the
reference?
Yeah, of course, dude.
So there's the Bactrian camel. That is the one with two humps. And then there's the dromedary. That's the one with one hump. So back in the day, camel was just the camel that had two humps. And then dromedary was the camel that only had the one hump. Okay. So that's why they say camels and dromedaries in Jefferson Davis's report. The reason this difference is important is besides where do you put the saddle, is that two hump camels are slow, but they carry a lot of weight. While the single hump camels are faster, but they can carry less.
Okay.
Anyway, so in 1856, 38 camels. I was talking. So America purchased 33 of the animals. But in 1856, 38 camels arrived in Texas. Now, okay. I know I said 33 camels were acquired, but during the voyage, them camels got to fucking.
They were anchor camels?
Yeah.
Damn.
That's sorry.
Funny.
I had to do it.
That's good. No, that's
so then one of them died, but 6 calves were born. So now the camels. The camels proved to be pretty effective animals in the American Southwest. They ate whatever you gave them, and they didn't really need a lot of water.
Yeah.
When tested on...
The Southwest is like dry, rocky, it's hot.
Yeah, it's just arid and shitty.
Horses and mules, they'll fucking die almost immediately if you try to ride them for more than 2 minutes.
I don't know, man. All I'm saying is Mexicans fucking thrived there for a couple centuries before you all fucking showed up, so...
Valid.
That's a fact. That's a fact.
Oh God, it's so hot. We get a heat stroke. Give it back.
Now I lost my place. They ate whatever you gave them and really didn't need a lot of water. There were a couple of instances where they would go on long journeys and the horses would literally get frenzied because they found some grass and water, whereas the camels would just kind of mill about and watch them eat. They tested the camels versus horses.
Camels? Oh, look at the paws getting excited over grass.
You fucking peasants.
Bougie fucking animals, huh?
So when they were tested on a journey from Camp Baird in Arizona to San Antonio, this was a 120-mile trip or 139 kilometers if you talk funny. A team of mules pulled one wagon weighing 1,800 pounds or a little more than 800 kilograms. Well, a team of camels.
The rest of the world.
All right, when they put their flag in the moon, they can have whatever weights they want. Well, a team of camels pulled another weighing twice that at more than 3,600 or 1,600 kilograms. So 3,600 pounds or 1,600 kilograms. The mules pulling half the weight took 5 days to get where they were going, while the camels only took 2. Take that, Seabiscuit, you lazy fuck.
Yeah, go fuck yourself, Toby Maguire.
Stupid horses. Now, camels weren't completely without problems. For instance, they smelled not good.
And they were dickheads.
Yeah. And horses were actually scared of camels because they smelled so bad.
Yeah, no shit. Yeah. If I saw a mutated horse show up with no warning, I'd also be a little fucking scared.
Yeah, like basically a horse with backwards breast implants. So, and it also, if the camels were annoyed with you, they would spit a foul-smelling jelly at you.
Yeah.
This jelly is similar to the substance that cows chew on, known as cud. The other problem is that while camels were great at moving quickly over long distances, they sucked at running. However, they were surprisingly good swimmers. They were fording the Colorado River at one point. In 10 mules drowned and 0 camels drowned. The camels just
get shit on.
Made it across no problem. Really good swimmers. America's herd of camels had reached over 100 by 1861, but once the Civil War broke out, the experiment took a back seat. 30 of the camels were brought to California, specifically LA, while the rest remained in Arizona, unfortunately under Confederate control. In keeping with the Confederate mentality of disliking foreign stuff, the hayseeds of the Confederacy mishandled and abused the animals and even deliberately killed a few of them.
Damn.
Yeah.
In the end, the Union Army was unsure of how to maintain their herd. There wasn't much guidance on what to do with it because of the war. So in 1864, they sold off their camels to zoos, circuses, and private citizens in California. For the private owners, once the novelty kind of wore off, they sold them to mines, butcher shops, which is fucking gross, or they just released their camels into the wild. Meanwhile, the last zoo-owned army camel, known as Topsy, died in 1934.
You're really proud of yourself. That was good.
You are.
Mic drop. No,
that was way more than I was expecting.
I could see the autism kick in.
Oh yeah, which is weird because I don't even have it. I've just got really severe ADHD.
All right, so now that we know the backstory behind camels and why they would even
that's not the whole story. I forgot about the rest of it. Fuck.
We were just telling you about camels. We thought you might be interested.
So now that we know why camels would be in Arizona in the first place, because they're not native to America, obviously.
Right.
We can continue on with our story. So the first reported encounter with the red ghost occurred in the spring of 1883 at a ranch house near Eagle Creek, Arizona. Now, early that morning, the husbands of 2 of the families that lived there had set out to go check on their sheep, as there had been reports in the area that Geronimo and his band of Apaches were ransacking farms for livestock. Leaving the wives and children alone until they returned that evening, one of the women ventured outside to collect some water from a nearby stream. Shortly after that, a blood-curdling scream echoed back to the house. The other woman present said she saw a huge reddish beast ridden by, quote, the devil himself walk past the window. Too afraid to do anything, she locked the doors and hid with the children until nightfall when the men finally returned. When the men heard this story, they immediately set out to the stream, only to discover the first woman dead. Her body had been trampled to the point where she was unrecognizable. Around the scene, they noticed massive footprints, much larger than those left by any horse. They also discovered clumps of coarse reddish hair caught in some nearby bushes. This discovery led to the widespread speculation and fear as the locals struggled to comprehend just what exactly could commit such a heinous act. And it's with this that the red ghost legend started to take shape. Now,
it's like just cracking open a cold one right into the mic.
I didn't mean to do that on purpose. It was just very close to the microphone. I had not realized how close it was. That's not me peeing. I'm pouring beer right now.
So, that's
me peeing.
The next witness to the red ghost was a rancher by the name Cyrus Hamlin, who, while out tending to his cattle near his property line, initially he thought he was looking at like a large, oddly proportioned horse, like if a child's drawing of a horse like came to life or something like that. But as the creature got closer, he noticed its humped back and reddish fur. You would think that seeing an alien horse would be scary enough. I don't know how many people back then knew, like in the Old West, knew what a camel looked like. They probably heard the term. So that would be terrifying enough. But he said what truly terrified him wasn't the camel, but what was strapped to his back. A decayed skeletal figure clinging to the enormous beast, tied in place with old leather straps. Now, Cyrus, in all of his pants-shitting horror, I can only assume, got right the fuck out of there and refused to return to the area ever again without armed companions, which honestly, perfectly reasonable response. No notes.
100%.
10 out of
Done.
10. Very smart.
Nothing says America like getting guns.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if you saw this if you've never seen a camel before, let alone the concept of a camel, and you saw it coming at you with a skeleton on its back, like that's a great response. I would shoot the fuck out of that thing too.
You know, oh, sorry. Go ahead, Jonathan.
No. I was gonna say, when people say reddish fur, I'm trying to imagine what level of, like, Clifford the big red dog reddish fur, or like, you know, an African.
I would think like orangutan, like an orangutan kind of fur. That's what I think. Or like,
okay, so we have no visual representation of what this fur looks like.
No, but also I learned that reddish fur isn't common among camels. But
Camel eye?
Yeah. I don't know what the plural for camel is, so we're just gonna say camels.
Camels.
It's like a genetic thing. Like it's almost like albinoism in camels. Like every once in a while you get one with red, because mostly they're tan, beige.
Yeah, I mean the same thing happens with white people. Every once in a while you get one with red fur.
You can call them brown, Dave. It's fine.
But I wouldn't call them. A moose is brown, a camel's tan, right?
A moose are like dark brown.
Yeah, camel's like its own color actually, because like that's why you have camel colored coats. It's like a popular style of coat.
I don't know what you're talking about.
I worked in retail for a long time. I wasted a place of my life.
You fucking fashionista over here. No.
Yeah, don't ever use that word again.
Now, another sighting took place near a trading post where a wagoner claimed to have seen the red ghost charging toward him across an open plain. The man's horses bolted. They were like, fuck this. This is all you, buddy. Like, we're out of here. And in the chaos, he said that he watched as the camel reared up and silhouetted against the sun. He swears that he saw the skeletal rider move, its bony arms lurching forward as if it was attempting to steer the beast. It was then he followed the horse's lead and got out of there. He abandoned his wagon and fled to the nearest settlement to report to the locals what he had just witnessed, where I'm sure they were like, all right, buddy.
All right. You might want to get out of the sun for a little while, George.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure you're moonshining it a little too hard now. Now, my favorite sighting that was reported took place not too far from where the initial trampling, I guess you'd want to call it, took place. About 60 miles west of Eagle Creek, a group of prospectors camped in the valley of the Verde River noticed the large red creature grazing nearby. The men cautiously approached the red ghost, and when they got close enough, they did what any red-blooded American would do when they don't know what they're looking at, and opened fire on this motherfucker.
Oh, I was going to say they fucked it.
No, that's no. But the beast took off into the desert, and unsure.
I promise you, though, when they were having the conversation of what to do, that was a close second on the list of what they were going to do. For sure.
I mean, they're lonely prospectors. They're out in the desert of Arizona.
Yeah, right?
Right?
He's like, hey, if you push that thing over to the cliff and then you start going, it'll probably start pushing back.
I swear, every time Sarge tries to kill me at least once with something he says, I almost choked.
That was good.
Just now.
That was good. Which is probably what would have happened to one of the prospectors.
Before we go on, the young woman who died due to trampling, would you attribute that as the first reported case of death by camel toe?
God damn it, Sarge.
Honestly, the setup, flawless. Execution, on point. I want to be upset at you, but that was proper. That was good.
I'm sorry. I've been sitting on that for like 5 minutes.
You've been sitting on camel toe for 5 minutes?
No, I have a moose knuckle. I'm hanging all over the place.
Yeah, that's an elephant foot, my guy.
Fuck yeah. All right.
Oh, man. You know what it is? I went to church this morning and I'm just all fired up.
Is that what it is?
He's got the spirit inside of him.
But he wish he had a red camel inside of him.
Jesus didn't even lube up. It was weird.
All right. Okay. So
talk about a second coming, am I right?
No, unsure if they had hit it or not, they decided to go after it and track it. Now, after tracking it for some time, they made a grisly discovery. They didn't find the red ghost or even any indications that they had hit it, but instead, they found a human skull with remnants of hair and flesh still clinging to it. This find not only confirmed the presence of a human rider, but fueled the belief that the creature was something cursed or otherworldly. Now, before I go any further, how are you guys feeling about the red ghost? Now that we know that there were actual camels, and like, what do you think's going? Like, give me some theories. What are your thoughts, feelings, emotions?
I just feel like this poor ginger camel is being judged. It's just a daywalker, man. It's not anything nefarious. It just, it's got poor genetics.
It's got a fucking skeleton on it.
Maybe the rider just got stuck. Everybody's like freaking out that it's lunging at you. Maybe the camel reared back and the rider's just flopping around because he's been dead for a couple of years. I don't know.
I was going to say, it sounds like whoever the rider was, they strapped him to the camel as punishment to go through the desert and just die and perish out there. And maybe they gutted him. Maybe they did something and the camel's red in blood and it's just dried.
I didn't even gnarly.
Yeah, blood. Blood when it dries out, it oxidizes because of the iron content, and it turns into that.
It's like that rusty red color.
Yeah.
You're right.
All right.
Shit. Also, I find it impossible to be scared of a camel. Like when you started out, you had such a great creepy opening, and then you're like, and then they saw a red camel.
Oh yeah, but that's because we have known, we have seen camel. I've fed a camel with my palm flattened with a carrot in it at a what do they call it? Circus one time. We know what camels are. In 18 fucking whatever, the concept of a camel must have been so fucking mind blowing that if you saw one, you would have shit yourself.
But it still looks like a slow horse.
No, it doesn't.
No, but think about the first person who unearthed a triceratops skull. They must have been fucking terrified. Okay,
yeah, they thought there was
the
giants.
fact that we have the fact that we now have a camel and we haven't seen a camel, and that most people hate brown things in this time, then and now. It's it's foreign and brown. I don't like it.
See, I'm more with the Triceratops thing. I'm more, to your earlier point, anything's a dildo if you're brave enough. There were 3 of them?
Hey, Steve, Jerry, come here. Come here real quick.
Let's hold hands.
Bring it over to the cliff. Maybe it'll push back.
God damn it. All right, so... All right, so Sarge is saying he's not afraid of camels. Jonathan, but you're understanding where we're coming from, where it's they don't understand the concept of a camel.
Yeah, no, I get that.
No, you make a good point, Jonathan.
It'd be terrifying. Now, the red ghost terrorized the Arizona territory for nearly a decade. Then, in the 1890s, its story came to kind of like a I don't want to say an end, but a rancher woke up one morning. A rancher woke up one morning to find the massive camel grazing in his vegetable garden. Fed up with losing his crops to wild animals, he grabbed his rifle and shot it dead, which is a rather unceremonious death, I think. Kind of sad in a way. Although, but it did, absolutely fuck that one lady up. So maybe not. Either way. So
it's true. Yeah.
Yeah.
Its KD ratio is pretty good at this point. When the motherfucker's been sitting on a UAV for a while.
When the rancher inspected the body, he found scars on the camel's back, evidence of where the skeleton had been strapped. By this point, the bones had likely fallen off or been removed. Still, the scars confirmed what many had suspected. This was the red ghost, the camel that had been haunting the desert for years. Now, with its death, the red ghost passed from reality into legend. While the physical creature was gone, its story remained a favorite among settlers, cowboys, natives, and anyone drawn to the mysteries of the Old West. So now, let's get into some theories, guys. We got a couple of them. So, as Sarge said, when the Civil War broke out, the army just kind of said, fuck it, and abandoned the idea of a camel corps. So, they just decided, like he said, sell the camels or release the camels into the wilds of Arizona. So stray camels were sighted in the area for a while, with the last one ever reported dying in 1934. The last known American camel was named Topsy. She had been seen crossing the desert into California. She ended up in LA after being taken in by zoo employees before her passing. All that to say that camels were out and just loose in the deserts of Arizona, and the settlers and Native Americans that lived there had what I could only describe as like a lack of familiarity with camels, like we mentioned several times. And this fed into the supernatural interpretations of the red ghost. Many of them had never seen such a large, strange creature before, and its otherworldly appearance, especially at night, like if you see it at night and it's like lit up by either the moon or a fire, it's going to be fucking terrifying. And it led them to believe that...
Yeah, you've never seen one of these fucking things, and now there's a hulking mass on the horizon? Fuck that.
Yeah. This led them to believe that it was some sort of demon or like an avenging spirit. Some settlers and natives believed that the red ghost was a manifestation of the desert's hostility, a supernatural guardian punishing those who dared to encroach on its harsh, untamed lands. The skeletal figure on its back was interpreted by some as the ghost of a vengeful rider, eternally bound to the camel. Now, this explanation framed the red ghost as a cursed entity, blending both Native American beliefs about spirits with frontier superstitions. But being unfamiliar with camels and seeing them at night or whatever doesn't really explain the sightings of like the skeleton on its back. So a more probable explanation is that the red ghost legend grew from real camel sightings, exaggerated through retellings. The sightings were often brief, occurring at night or in stressful situations, making it easy for details to blur or for witnesses to misinterpret what they saw. And as the story spread through, like most folklore, Native American tales, or even like superstitions, it's all very oral tradition. So over time, like it just... God damn it. So as the story spread, through like mining camps or frontier towns, each retelling would add a new layer to the horror of it, such as the skeletal rider or the animal's like supposed malice. But camels are pretty malice on their own. They're fucking dickheads. So
yeah, they are dickheads. They are total assholes.
But there are other darker theories that I think are more likely the cause for these sightings. And these are the ones that I'm going to stand behind. And Jonathan, you actually kind of nailed it earlier. So the first is that the rider was actually a prospector or settler who in desperation tied himself to the camel, hoping it would lead him to water. Instead,
the camel's like, motherfucker, what do you think you're sitting on?
Yeah, instead, he died of dehydration or exposure, and his body just decomposed while remaining secured to the camel.
That just sounds like a problem solving itself. Like, if you're that stupid that you think a camel's going to lead you to water, you deserve whatever's going to happen to you.
That's fair. Another possibility is that the body was tied to the camel post-mortem as a form of disposal or even like an act of cruelty, resulting in the bizarre and terrifying sightings reported by settlers, prospectors, and natives. Another theory suggests that it was some form of punishment or hazing ritual during the time of the Camel Corps. During that time, harsh punishment as well as just brutal hazing was not uncommon in military ranks, so it's possible that as a punishment or prank, they tied a soldier to one of the camels and set it free into the desert, resulting in the soldier's death and its skeletal remains clinging to it for almost a decade. But
I mean, I don't mean to shit in your ice cream, man, but the hazing didn't stop.
But I mean,
it's
was
still
it
a thing.
Is it murder bad, or is it like?
I mean, I know a guy who put a cigarette butt in somebody's magazine, his rifle magazine, and he racked a cigarette into the barrel of his rifle, and they had to fucking sneak it out as they were going outside the wire. So yeah, it could be. It could be.
I don't know what any of those words mean, but
magazine is the where you put the bullets.
What that is, but the
cigarette butt is the end of a cigarette.
Dude, I know. But what would that do? What does that mean?
He knows what those words mean individually. But put them all together, and you're telling us a story that we don't understand the consequences of.
The cigarette butt would get stuck in the rifle barrel. So if you were to shoot a bullet, it could potentially cause a buildup of the gases and cause the rifle to explode. Or cause your rifle to misfire in a firefight, and then you they
constipated the rifle. Why didn't you just fucking say that?
Yeah.
Well, it could also just cause your rifle not to fire.
Dude, Jesus. We didn't have the I don't want to say privilege.
Anyway,
we didn't need the college money, so we didn't sign up for this shit, okay?
I mean,
I didn't go to college, so
yeah, joke's on
you. But
I mean, the good news is I did need the college money, and I used it for 2 degrees. So
yeah, this motherfucker's got a master's, so I can't really shit on him for that. But okay, so that theory is pretty much plausible then.
Very plausible, yes. I would not be surprised at all if there was some dead kid right now tied to a Humvee that's like erratically doing donuts in the middle of the fucking desert right now.
That's true. But you were sorry to derail this any further than it already has. But you were in the Middle East for a while. Do you have experience with camels? Like, did you ever like?
I actually have a very funny story about this.
How hard do they push back?
Would you say they're more of a power bottom or power?
I actually have to tell you a very funny story about this. So,
do you prefer the 1 hump or 2 hump?
I spent 11 months in Iraq. In the Middle East, sometime in Kuwait, and then mostly in Iraq.
Yeah.
Not once did I see a fucking camel the entire time I was there. Everyone else happened to see one. I did not.
Okay.
I was home in the United States for about a week, and I saw a camel. There was like a state fair, and I'm just walking around, and then there's this like shitty fence, and there's this one lonely dromedary, the 1 hump kind, just standing there. And I walked over to the lady, and I was like, "Can I touch that? Because I was in Iraq for a year and I didn't see any of them. Can I just pet it?"
Rock hard.
Very nice lady. This very nice lady was like, "That's exactly what I said." I was so like,
if I slide you a 20, can you leave me alone for 20 minutes and pet them?
I gotta go take it over to this cliff. I'll be right back. So like I like pet it, and I was like blown away that the first place in the world I see a camel is in Springfield, Massachusetts.
That tracks.
A week after I come home from Iraq.
You think you didn't see any camels because they heard of you and they're like, "Hey man, camel fuckers coming."
I was about to give them the best 2.5 inches of their life.
Okay, we're moving on.
I'll give you 1 hump, pal.
But all right, but whatever it is, that was actually out there. The Red Ghost is one of those stories that it perfectly blends like the history and folklore. Like, it's a rare cryptid that has roots in like documented history, the camel core experience, the release of wild camels, and the human skeleton tied to it. But it's also a reminder of how like the unknown can spark our wildest fears. It's a product of both truth and of the imagination, shaped by the fears and superstitions of frontier life. So whether it was a tragic accident or a supernatural omen, the Red Ghost remains one of the strangest tales of the Old West. And that, gentlemen, is the story of the Red Ghost. How are we feeling so far? Jonathan, let's start with you.
Have they, because again, a lot of these things go from reality to legend to mythos. Have there been any additional sightings since then of like a spectral red ghost, or was that it?
No, once the farmer who found it eating its, I'm assuming zucchinis or whatever the fuck. He and after he blew it away unceremoniously, which is very sad, it just kind of ended.
So everybody loves a sequel. Let's go get a camel.
Okay.
And paint this fucker red. And let's get a skeleton. It's actually cheaper to get an actual skeleton than to get and that's a whole nother conversation.
But we could also, what if we get the 90
It's weird skeleton? That you looked that up.
What if we get the 90-foot Home Depot skeleton?
First of all, the poor camel. Come on now. Like we're not monsters. Jesus. Like
we'll just get the 12-foot one.
We'll just get the 12-foot. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And we just strap them, and we just bring this legend back to life, and we just let them go in Arizona.
I love this idea. I am in 100%.
Honestly, a legend come to life. Come on.
I mean, I don't hate the idea.
Yeah, we'll keep Sarge away from it for the first couple of days. The system.
Allegedly. It's for the best. I do have 2 addendums to this, actually, 2 interesting points of interest. The Red Ghost, that was shot in 1880, you said?
No, it was like 1890.
93 or something. I don't
remember.
I was going to say 1885. Famed General Douglas MacArthur, who led the invasion of the war in Korea. He actually saw one of these camels in 1885.
Oh,
okay.
Yeah. And he made like a big deal out of it.
It was shot dead after that. It was the 1890s.
This was like a legit sighting that a bunch of people in a town in Nevada saw, and he actually went to go see it because he wanted to see it too. And then the other interesting thing is the United States wasn't the only place to introduce camels onto foreign territory where they originally were not from. The British, when they owned Australia, they introduced camels in Australia, and currently the feral population of camels in Australia as of 2008 had reached 1 million.
That's too many camels.
Now I have to ask, Sarge, was this information that you knew offhand or you just looked up?
I found it during my research.
Okay.
I found it during my research.
Okay, because if that's just knowledge that you know, it gives too much credibility to the camel fucking, and I don't know.
Well, if full disclosure, I did know that Australia had a feral camel population. I just wasn't aware of how many potential new girlfriends I could have.
Yeah, your dating pool options just expanded immensely.
Oh, man.
Australia.
Well, I mean, the humps, if they didn't want me to do it, why would they be so voluptuous? Is what my question.
So where were we? I asked what you guys thought about it. Jonathan, did you even give an answer before Sarge?
Yeah, he did. He had a great answer.
Wow, you don't even remember, Dave? Fuck,
Yeah, he wanted to release one more camel.
I wanted to redo it.
But
we talked about the 12-foot skeleton.
Yeah, but that wasn't. What are your thoughts about the actual story? Not what you want to do.
Oh, my bad. Sorry. No, it's interesting how, again, you made the point of real life rooted into legend, and we don't realize how much of these stories that get told and convoluted get passed down. They got to stem from somewhere. They got to stem from some form of truth. There is a modicum of truth in everything, and it's always interesting to see where it started to where it ends. And this like you said, this was kind of unceremoniously ended. And it's like, I wish it would have been, I don't know, a little cooler. Like, fucker stepped on a landmine.
More of like an epic battle or something like that. Like he fist fought it to death or something like that.
Yeah, he fucked it to death.
I wish that there were like still feral camels in the United States. I feel like it would be so cool.
I'm telling you, we can make it happen.
It'd be so funny. Like, imagine going to Vegas and there's just a camel like drinking out of a fountain. Like, how awesome would that be?
What's a camel cost? Can we?
You know what? I'm actually Googling it right now.
Let's find out how much a camel costs. 2 camels, a male and a female. Maybe we should get 4, because I feel like we need at least 4 for a breeding population, and then we'll crowdfund it.
Yeah. Well, like the out of the original camels that came to the U.S., only 5 died of disease. Like, they're a hardy breed. They can survive here.
You're looking at 10,000.
Okay.
Or
$10,000 is,
or 17,000 for a pregnant one. Which, listen,
new Patreon goal.
Camel breeding,
right?
Like, you guys are camel breeding to you. You guys are gonna get some camels and breed them. Yeah,
sure.
Yeah, that's what's gonna happen.
I mean, if they got to fucking on a boat, I can only imagine what they'll do in the wild. Good for them.
Honestly, what a vibe.
The rabbits of Arabia.
All right, so that's our episode. Jonathan, I know you got some stuff going on. You got some stuff coming up. You're actually going to be in my neck of the woods pretty soon. You got anything you want to plug before we get this going?
Yeah. Once again, everybody, my name is Jonathan. Latinos Against Spooky Shit everywhere. You can find my stuff as Latinos Against Spooky Shit, but you can also find me as one half of the Spooky Guys, which is a phenomenal podcast where we get to talk about very similar things: cryptid, serial killers, spooky things, anything and everything that's paranormal and or paranormal adjacent. I've got a AP game, an actual play game, being released through Tabletop Tempest. Tabletop Tempest, of course, being the other channel that I'm a part of, which is founded by immigrants or the children of immigrant parents, where we get to roll dice and we get to tell stories and we get to just create these really cool narratives. So Breaking Prometheus is a story of familial trauma, generational breaking of chains, and it should be releasing January of 25. So keep an eye out for that.
Very cool.
And I don't know when this episode will release.
Tomorrow. Because
so if it's releasing tomorrow, I will be at PAX Unplugged in Philly, where I will have a panel on December 6th. It's at the Crab Got Theater. It starts at 5 p.m. and it's Charisma Check, where we will talk to you guys about networking and branding and being able to negotiate and talk deals and everything with networks and whatnot. So check that out if you're in the area, if you're coming to PAX U. But yeah, that's kind of all I got on my plate at this point in time.
Oh, that's it. That's just that.
That's it, dude.
Jesus Christ, man.
I know.
And Sarge, do you got anything you want to plug? I know you got your coloring book.
The coloring book is still available due to the unforeseen circumstances of America electing a felon to be president. So you could still purchase that. It's called Sarge's Supernormal Coloring Book, and you can find that at sargessupernormal.com. There's word searches and coloring to kind of ease your mind, or you can just roll it up and shove it up your ass if you don't like it.
Jesus
you can
Christ.
find. Sorry, I'm a little punchy today. You can find me pretty much anywhere. Just type in Sarge the Destroyer in Google. I'm the only person dumb enough to use that name, so you'll find me. Yeah, that's all I got.
All right. Well, if I'll make sure to link Jonathan's stuff in the episode description, as well as tag him in all the posts. And you can find Sarge's links and all that stuff in the Instagram bio, which is at Cryptid Cocktail. You can also find us on TikTok, Cryptid Cocktail Party. Also, huge shout out to Cryptid Camp. They got their Kickstarter fully funded.
Woo!
Yeah, 25. They needed 25,000. Ended at 80,000, which is awesome.
Wow.
Wow.
New Cryptid TCG coming your way. And I'm stoked that me and Sarge could be a part of that. So,
and shout out to our other sponsor, Narragansett Beer.
Yeah.
Drink Narragansett
right now.
It's definitely better than what you're drinking now. Hi Neighbor is the sign behind me, and you might even be able to see the other one. But Narragansett's pretty good stuff. So it's better. Yeah. It's certainly one of the best domestic beers in the United States right now. I'm willing to say that. I'll die on that cross.
Okay. All right. And with that out of the way,
or hill, depending.
Usually Sarge says goodbye and I love you to the audience, but Jonathan, would you like to do the honors of saying goodbye and I love you to the audience?
Absolutely. Go fuck yourselves. Goodbye and I love you.